Good day to you. My name is Geyer. I'm the founder of EnQPractice. I am also one of the co-founders of EnQPractice Publishers, home of the Mind Action series. EnQPractice Publishers has allowed me to be within the educational environment for over 20 years now, and being within a training environment and understanding things like emotional intelligence, I started to realize many years ago that there was very little training available to students and to teachers in terms of developing what we call their emotional intelligence. There's a lot of training at corporate level, there's a lot of things available, but within an academic environment, an environment which is changing basically daily, and certainly within the time constraints and the financial constraints, there's not a lot available. So I put my head together with one of Sydney's top corporate trainers, a very highly qualified industrial psychologist, and wonderful teachers, headmasters, headmistresses, and educators from both New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa. And we wrote a program called Circles of Empowerment. What this does is it teaches us very basically about how to raise our emotional intelligence. It's divided into 4 sections. It's a 4-hour workshop that we run for our student leaders. It's very popular for student prefects. And in the first section, we look at self-awareness. There are basically 4 different kinds of interaction or personality styles that we refer to. And they're broken down on a very simple basis. 2 groups of people. One will always step forward and speak out quite easily. They will engage with people quite easily. And the other group of people will tend to stand back and observe before they engage. Then we have a group of people who will reason through things looking just at the facts of the case. So they're very logical driven, very much brain driven. Then the other people tend to react to situations with their feelings. They look at emotions. Relationships are very, very important to them. So when you put these 2 groups together in different ways, you get 4 basic groups of people. Now, within a student environment, students really don't know very much about themselves at student level. And when they start looking at going into leadership roles, what tends to happen is the stand forward or the step forward personalities are the most obvious. So they tend to be the ones who get channeled into leadership positions. Whereas your step back or your stand back personalities, who are very observant, very analytical, can sometimes get overlooked at a school level just because they are far more thoughtful about giving their opinion. But often when we do exercises, we find that the more thoughtful personality types are the ones that have got things solved way before anybody else, because they do have that kind of insightful, analytical way. So what I teach in the first hour is all about self-awareness. We have an online assessment that the students can take so they can see exactly where they fit. There's some lovely resources there which tells them a little bit about their kind of personality style and how it helps them in a leadership environment, in a career environment. Then in the second hour, we look at the awareness of others, because understanding our own style is important. But to communicate effectively and to become a leader, it's very important to understand the other styles so that we can press the right buttons or push the right buttons and lead people rather than just try and force them into our way of doing things. The third hour within our workshop is all about conflict resolution. Conflict is a major issue in all 3 of the countries that I work in. Regardless of cultural influences and economic influences, conflict is something which is very big for everybody. So we look very carefully at what causes conflict. We use a very, very well-known system to teach how to resolve conflict. And we also look at the different personality styles and how they might naturally relate to conflict so that they have a deeper understanding, being in a conflict situation, of how to resolve it with other personality styles. Our 4th section in our student leadership training is all about leadership. Now, what is leadership to a student leader? It becomes difficult because they're looking at themselves as individuals, they're looking at themselves within a group. So we teach them how to do both of those so that they've got a much better understanding of what leadership means in today's world. It's no longer about those that are just willing to step forward and take control, because at the touch of a button, anybody can access any information, and having expertise and having academic knowledge and having authority is no longer good enough enough to become a really good leader. So we look carefully at that. I do a lot of work within the academic environment with leadership, and this is what I teach so that leaders can understand what is relevant today, and student leaders can take this learning way forward in terms of their career and not just at a school level. The 4-hour course is offered for student prefects. A lot of schools ask us to do it for their prefects. It really does prepare the student prefect group for the year ahead so that they understand who they are, why they're there, and they have some kind of common bond around what they're trying to achieve as a group. You would have received our brochure information, our pricing, which as you can see is affordable and accessible to every school. It's not just certain school levels that we work with. I have worked very successfully with a number of schools, and we will send you the testimonials about what those schools have had to say. Just to end off, to let you know that we don't only work with student prefects. We've many times been asked to work with lower grades that want to become prefects at some point, and they offer a 2-hour workshop, which gives them all the same self-awareness, awareness of others, and some conflict, but we also just have a look in that section at some careers too, because some schools like us to train their very early grades so that they have an idea of career choices in terms of their personality style early, and some schools like us to do it just before the final year in school so that all of those personality types are aware of the fact that they are very able to become very competent leaders. But with that understanding of themselves, they then apply to become prefects. And there's a common language being spoken around differences, and there's a valuing around differences, and they just move forward as far more competent, self-aware individuals. So if you have received our information, you will have our contact details, and please get in touch with us. Ask any questions that you do. No school is exactly the same. We would like to make a difference to your future leaders, and we look forward to hearing from you.